this is Vicki Robinson. I wanted to thank you so much for purchasing the My Life Story bundle. I am so excited to be scrapping my life story, and I'm really thrilled that you've decided you're going to try to scrap your own as well. Now, there are a lot of products, a lot of downloads that come with this product, and so I wanted to walk you through it so you understand exactly what you're getting and some of the little things you might notice about these downloads. Now, you can always get back to your download list by clicking on the download link in your order email. If you don't have that anymore, you can always come to the OScrap store, sign into the site, and then once you're signed in, click on your name up at the top, and then click on the Order History tab here. You can give some search criteria, so if you don't want to search all, you could break it down by a shorter time frame. We're just going to say search. And then an entire list of your past orders is going to come up. It's the last order for me, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then there's a little download button beneath the product name, so you want to click on that link, and it'll open up this download list. I know this is an intimidating list because this bundle was so huge. There were a ton of download files in different formats. But don't be intimidated. It's broken down in sets, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what it is you need to download. Let's go through that now. The first set of files that I've outlined here are files that everybody is going to want to download. Although if you are going to download the A4 or the US letter size templates, you do not need to download the ribbon wraps because those are specific to file size. So you don't need the 12 by 12 if you're going to download the A4 or US letter size templates. I do want to draw your attention to a couple of files here that are important. Always, always, always download and open the bonus gift and TOU file that you'll see with all of my products. Every month there's a new gift in that folder for you, along with an offer. And then my clickable TOU, which gets you to my store and challenges and website. So always download those. You never know what's hiding for you there. There's also an instructional folder there with Wendy's coupon. I will be talking about that folder in just a little bit. And then there's also a folder of all the previews because there are so many products here. I put all the previews into one folder, and you're going to want to download that so you do have previews for each of the products. Next are the A4 size for our European customers. Note that the ribbon wraps and the backgrounds are specifically sized for those products. For those of you that like to scrap in the US letter format, there are TIFF templates there for you, as well as the neutral backgrounds and the ribbon wraps. For those of you who do not use Adobe products, I've provided full 12 by 12 ping sets for each of the 6 templates. Next are the PSD files and the TIFF files in 2 separate sets. The difference between the TIFFs and the PSDs are that PSDs are Adobe specific and can only be opened in general by Adobe products such as Photoshop and Photoshop Elements. TIFF templates are also layered templates, but they can be opened by any other kind of program that can handle layers. So they're considered a generic format. You do not need to download both the PSD and the TIFFs unless you want to. TIFFs in general tend to be a little bit smaller in size, so if hard drive is a concern to you, you might consider downloading the TIFFs. With all of these files, you do not need to download the A4s if you do not want to scrap an A4, and the same with the US letter or the pings. Download only the sets of templates in the formats you wish to use. Now, once you've downloaded and unzipped your files, I wanted to call a couple of folders to your attention. When you are in either Windows Explorer or the Mac Finder and you're looking at your folders, one I'd like to draw your attention to is the Start Here WZ coupon. That folder contains Wendy Zines' very generous coupon for a discount on her products. In particular, you want to take a look at her photo book products in case you're wanting to format your pages, your layout, so that you can ultimately upload them to a printing service such as Shutterfly. This is a PDF, so when you double click on the document, it should open up however your computer shows you PDFs. And then that PDF itself is linked right to Wendy's store as a convenience for you. So don't forget that the coupon is in this Start Here folder. Also in this folder are the prompts that I mentioned in the product description. These are 4 different topics to give you some ideas for where you might want to start scrapping your story if you're kind of confused or unsure about where to start. I use some of these prompts myself in getting started, so I know that they'll be helpful to you as a resource. The other thing that is here are the things I'm going to be talking to you about later on, this other PDF, these instructions. It has to do with what you see, you may see on the TIFFs and the PSDs, and what to do about missing fonts. In this case, I use 2 kind of cool fonts on the templates, and you may not have them on your computer. And if you don't, there'll be some warnings that come up, and I'm going to step you through what to do about those warnings that you'll get if you don't have the fonts, and then you may even get an initial warning if you do have the fonts installed. So I'm going to walk you through that. Just know that this instructional file is here for you to look back as a reference if you need some help. Let's go ahead and go back and open up a PSD, one of the PSD folders. Now, whether you're using Windows Explorer or the Mac Finder, you may be used to seeing a thumbnail preview of the product. For instance, in this case right here, as you can see, you're actually looking at a thumbnail preview of this template. But you notice that you don't see that for these others. And that's because these files were so huge, I went ahead and I added a blank white layer with this text as the very top layer of the stack of these PSDs and these TIFFs. Now, we don't know why adding this layer reduces the file size, but it does. And these files were pretty large, and I wanted to do something to help you for purposes of the download only. Once the files are downloaded, we can get rid of these layers in the templates. So what you're seeing here is not a message that means delete the file. What I'm wanting you to do is open up the PSD or TIFF file in Elements or the full version, and then we're going to delete this layer so that you don't have that message, or you don't see that anymore, and you see this preview as you're expecting to. Now I'm going to click and drag this right down onto Photoshop Elements to open it up there. And the first thing that we're going to see is this warning I mentioned that might happen if you don't have the fonts installed that I have used. Now you can download and install the fonts from that instructional document, but if you don't have them, you're going to get a warning. This warning simply is telling you that there is a missing font. In this case, it's saying that the missing font is LW. That's a shortened version of the Lino-Write font name. This is not an error message. You just want to say, update. You may also get another message that a font substitution is going to occur, and that's what these little yellow caution signs are. Let me talk to you first about this blank layer, and then we'll address those caution signs. So here's the layer that I was talking about. You can see it's the very top of the stack, and if I click and drag this to the trash bin, or just press the delete key and get rid of it, we won't have to deal with that anymore. Now, before we save this file, what we're going to do is deal with these caution signs. You see this little yellow caution. If you hover your mouse over it, you'll get a tooltip that says the font is missing on the system and substitution needs to occur. So that's just a warning to you that when you click on it, double click on it, Elements is going to say, oh, there's a font missing. Should we continue with the substitution? And of course, if the font is missing, you want to say yes. So say okay. And then you can see it has selected the first text, and you can see here that it is exchanged this text on my computer for Myriad Pro Regular. It might choose something else on your computer, but that's what it's chosen for me. And then I just want to click the check mark and say okay. and you can see that the caution symbol has gone away. Now, for every text box that's here, Elements does not know that you have already accepted that change. So you need to double click on any other caution signs and just say okay. And now you're all set. Let me just make sure there's no more in here. Nope, that's the only other one. So to save this file, we're going to save it right on top of itself so that the next time we open up Elements, we don't have to worry about that substitution. And by the way, you can click on any one of these texts with your text tool and go ahead and change it to whatever font you like if you don't want to use that one and you don't want to install the fonts that I've installed. So I'm going to cancel out of this, and I'm simply going to File, Save this, and I'm going to save it right on top of itself. It wants to know what I want to do with that, and I'm going to save it right on top of itself. That's font 4, and I'm going to say save. It's going to warn me it's going to replace it, and that's fine. That's what we want to do. So if we come back now to Windows Explorer or the Mac Finder, you'll see now you can see this. Now you can see the preview of the folder. Of the product itself. I wanted to show you what happens when you open this up in Photoshop, the full version of Photoshop. So I'm going to drag this one onto the full version of Photoshop. And when that opens, you'll see instead of getting a warning, you're going to get this little caution icon. When you double click on it, the full version of Photoshop has something really cool. It allows you to take care of substituting these all at once instead of doing them one at a time. So to do that, you would say Manage, and then it's going to say don't replace it, which obviously we do want to do. And now it's giving me some suggestions. In my case, it's giving me suggestions for fonts that I want to change this to. So I'm going to accept that and then click this box that says replace all missing fonts with the default font and say okay. Notice that the caution signs, there's several of them. When I say okay, they all go away. And then once again, what we would do is get rid of this layer and then save the file on top of itself. I don't want to save it in this case. Let's just go ahead and come back to this folder. And let's go and install the fonts. Now, I'm using a Mac, so we install in FontBook. And I have the font right here. I'm just going to enable it. Now that font for me is now enabled. If you install the font on your computer and you don't see it in Elements, you probably needed to close Elements first and then install the font. So let's see what happens now if I take this folder and try to open it up in Elements. Some layers might need to be updated. We're going to say Update. But now you see, because I have those fonts already installed, see, I'm not getting the warnings again. So even though we installed the font, we get that initial warning, but then you see that the fonts have already been substituted. And once again, we just have to delete this layer and then File, Save, right on top of itself. And when we come back in, we'll see that we now have our preview as we would expect. Well, that's it. Don't forget to take advantage of Wendy's coupon that's in the Start Here folder. I'm so excited that you're joining this Document My Life Story project with me. Be sure to post your pages in my designer gallery at OScraps. There'll be a link to that below. Also tag me on Facebook if you're going to post anything over there. I'd love for you to join my newsletter. Subscribe. Link will be in the notes below as well, because I'll be making it a point to keep those that have purchased this bundle up to date on what I'm doing with my pages and any additional products that I may add to this set. Thanks so much for purchasing My Life Story, and thanks so much for watching.